We won't forget, we won't forgive. With that sentiment, the entire nation is standing in solidarity with the victims and survivors of the Pahalgam terror attack of April 22 in the Kashmir Valley. It was the deadliest attack on tourists since terrorism began in Kashmir in the 1990s. It was also the deadliest terror strike in the valley since the abrogation of Article 370. India has hit back with a strong diplomatic offensive. It has, since the attack, taken a series of measures to impose costs on Islamabad. The world community is standing in solidarity with India, even as Pakistan denies and deflects. Over the next 30 minutes, we will look at the actions India has undertaken after the terror attack, what other actions, if any, India could consider, tactics used by terrorists to attack soft targets, innocent civilians, indoctrination of terrorists that led them to single out their victims on the basis of religion, and the striking similarities between the Pahalgam terror attack and the October 7 Hamas attack on Israel. I'm Munmun Bhattacharya, and you are watching a special broadcast, Pahalgam terror attack, World Unites, India Response. The terrorist attack in Pahalgam mirrors what happened in Israel. Tourists were enjoying a peaceful day. Then terrorists opened fire. In both attacks, innocent people were targeted for their faith. In Baisaran Valley, just like at the Nova festival in Israel, the place was chosen because it was remote and undefended. Tonight, we show you how the April 22 attack in Kashmir echoes the horror of October 7. Here's a report.
It was April 22nd. Tourists were enjoying a sunny afternoon in Baisaran Valley, a picturesque tourist resort town of Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. But what happened next, that shocked the world. According to eyewitnesses, terrorists emerged from the dense pine forests surrounding the meadow. They opened fire on a group of about 40 tourists. The resistant front, the frontal outfit of Pakistan-backed terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility for the attack. Survivors reported that the terrorists singled out non-Muslims and forced men to recite Kalma to check whether they were non-Muslims before shooting them. Kalma is a secret Islamic verse.
अपने आप बोले ना मुझे पर थी क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खाने पे मेरा पति साइड में था एक इंसान है उसने उसको गोली मार दी यहाँ पे उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है उसने उसको गोली मार दी.
At least 26 people were killed and several others injured. After the attack, police and security forces rushed to the spot to evacuate the wounded tourists and launch a manhunt for the terrorists. Among the victims were newlywed couples who were visiting Kashmir for their honeymoon. What happened in Pahalgam is a stark reminder of the October 7 attack by Hamas in Israel. On October 7, 2023, Hamas terrorists launched a surprise attack on Israel. One of the deadliest assaults occurred at the Nova Music Festival near Kibbutz Reem. As thousands of young people gathered to celebrate, terrorists infiltrated the festival grounds around sunrise, firing indiscriminately at the attendees and using grenades and other weapons. The attack resulted in the deaths of 378 individuals, including many young couples who had come to enjoy the event together. Now look at the striking similarities between the two attacks. In the Pahalgam attack, Baisaran Valley is situated at a remote location. It can be accessed only on foot. Emergency responders or security forces would take a minimum 30 to 40 minutes to reach the location. And it's the reason that terrorists chose the place, as it was a soft target. In the October 7 attack, Hamas chose Kibbutz Reem as the attack site for the same reason. It too had fewer defenses compared to major urban centers. This horrific event was a part of a broader offensive driven by Hamas's long-standing hatred against Jews, as expressed in its extremist ideology. Overall, the attack led to over 1,200 Israeli deaths. The purpose behind this attack was to highlight the terrorist group's relevance to the international community. Now listen to Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem.
We as Hezbollah will continue to prepare, acquire strength, increase in number and prepare as much equipment as we can in order to persist on the field facing Israel and those behind it.
Thousands of kilometers away from Gaza, the sentiments of Pakistan-backed terrorists are quite the same. Hatred based on faith. This is Lashkar-e-Taiba commander Abu Musa. Just days before the Pahalgam attack, Musa called for jihad and bloodshed in Kashmir at a rally attended by several terrorist leaders.
जब हिंदुस्तान ने गाय के पुजारी ने मकबूजा कश्मीर के अंदर 35 से 370 को खत्म किया, आप मुझे बताइए क्यों खत्म किया था? राम राम कहने वालों को बात करूंगा, डेमोक्रेटिक चेंज रहूंगा, जरा इस बात पर गौर करें, उस तरह करके देख इंशाअल्लाह गोलियों की पुछार से हम तुम्हारी गर्दनों को भी काटेंगे और शहादा की कुर्बानियों की लाज रखेंगे.
What happened in Pahalgam was not just an attack on people, it was an attack on peace, love and humanity itself. Bureau Report, DD India.
A honeymoon turns into heartbreak. A family trip ends in tragedy. A newlywed Navy officer, a young businessman, a tourist from Nepal, all innocent lives that were lost to terror. This is what cross-border terrorism does to humanity. See this report.
26-year-old Indian Navy officer Lieutenant Vinay Narwal from Karnal, Haryana had just begun a new chapter in life. He married Himanshi on April 16. But just 6 days later, tragedy struck. A heartbreaking photo showed Himanshi sitting beside her husband's lifeless body in a green meadow in Pahalgam. That image became a symbol of the deep pain and loss caused by terrorism. Lieutenant Narwal was among the 26 people killed in a brutal terrorist attack while on his honeymoon in Kashmir. On Wednesday afternoon, his body was flown from Kashmir to Delhi, arriving at the Indira Gandhi International Airport in a coffin wrapped in the Indian flag. Visuals of Himanshi's tearful tribute to her husband stirred emotions across the country, a mix of deep sorrow and anger. Later that evening, his last rites were held in Karnal. Himanshi stood by his side, heartbroken and inconsolable. As a final farewell, Navy personnel gave Lieutenant Narwal a gun salute before his body was cremated. Meanwhile, in another corner of Pahalgam, a family vacation turned into a nightmare for Kanpur businessman Shubham Dwivedi's loved ones. 31-year-old Shubham, who ran a cement business, had recently started a new chapter in life with his wife Aishanya. The couple had been married for just 2 months and were enjoying the beauty of Kashmir, but in a tragic turn of events, Shubham was shot and killed by terrorists.
Just सबसे बड़ा था हमारा ये फैमिली में जॉइंट फैमिली थी तो सबसे बड़ा बच्चा था पहली डेस्टिनेशन वेडिंग थी ओरछा से हुई थी हम लोग की तो हम लोग इतने खुश थे पूरा परिवार ये हम लोगों का पर हम यही चाहते हैं कि जैसा हम लोगों के साथ हुआ ऐसा किसी के साथ ना हो
27-year-old Sudeep Nupane from Nepal, who was touring Kashmir with his mother, sister and brother-in-law, faced a similar fate. According to his grieving grandparents, Sudeep was asked about his religion. When he said he was Hindu, they shot him on the spot. What happened in Pahalgam is a chilling reminder. Terrorism doesn't just take lives, it tears apart futures. Bureau Report, DD India.
The attack also claimed the lives of tourists from West Bengal. Among the victims were Sameer Guha and Bitan Adhikari from the state. IB officer Manish Ranjan Mishra Prashant Kumar Satpathy from Odisha, and Indian Air Force officer from Arunachal Pradesh, Corporal Hailyang. Families have been torn apart. That's what terrorism does.
Sameer Guha from West Bengal came to Kashmir to spend a few peaceful days with his wife and daughter. His family had no idea that a day before returning home, their entire world would crumble and change forever. His daughter, who grew up holding his hand, had to endure what no daughter should ever have to watch the father who had promised the world to her being killed in cold blood. The childhood memories of laughter and happiness are now forever blanketed by his gruesome killing. Sameer's death has left a void that will never be filled. Also from West Bengal, Manish Ranjan Mishra was an officer in the Intelligence Bureau. Posted in Hyderabad, he had taken a short trip to Pahalgam to soak in the serene, soothing environs and take a breather from his hectic schedules. Now he is no more and has left a family whose world has stopped in a moment. In Jhalda, West Bengal, his family is inconsolable. His home, once filled with his laughter and purpose, now only echoes death, agony, and misery. From a humble background, Prashant Kumar Satpathy from Odisha saved for months altogether to give his wife and their little boy a first real vacation. He was killed in front of his wife and son. The family chose Kashmir with its perfect settings to make it the most memorable holiday. Instead, it has now become a nightmare that may never leave them. The little boy now asks where his father went, and no one has any words that can give a complete answer. Corporal Tage Hailang had only started his new life with his wife. He was young and serving his country with pride. The terrorists stopped them, asked him his religion, and then shot him in front of the woman he had just promised to be forever with. Tage's family in Arunachal Pradesh is also left with just memories and utter anguish and torment. Bitan Adhikari had built a life in Florida, USA, but India was always home for him. He came back with his wife and their little son Hirdan to show them where his heart actually belonged. They planned to return to the US on April 24th, and 2 days before boarding the flight, his life and all the happiness of his family was brutally cut short. His wife and the little boy now stare at a life without him. His 3-year-old son may be too young to understand death, but is actually old enough to feel the absence of his father. Bureau Report, DD India.
It's really the unspeakable agony after the terror attack. A day after the heinous terror attack in Pahalgam killed 26 civilians, India started a diplomatic offensive against Pakistan. India downgraded diplomatic relations with Pakistan, suspended the Indus Waters Treaty, expelled Pakistani diplomats and top defense officials from the Pakistan High Commission, cancelled visas for Pakistanis and shut the Atari-Wagah border. The next report details how India is imposing costs on Pakistan after the Pahalgam terror attack.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
A clear assurance to the countrymen by Prime Minister Narendra Modi that perpetrators and backers of the heinous terror attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir that snuffed out 26 innocent lives on Tuesday will be brought to justice. Immediately after the attack, India began working on its response. On Prime Minister Modi's direction, Union Home Minister Amit Shah reached Srinagar to review the security of the Union territory. Prime Minister cut short his visit to Saudi Arabia and departed for Delhi. On Wednesday morning, immediately upon his arrival, PM held an emergency meeting of the terror attack at Delhi airport itself with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. Later in the evening, India's Cabinet Committee on Security met at Prime Minister Modi's residence, 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. The CCS resolved that perpetrators of the attack will be brought to justice and their sponsors held to account. India's Foreign Secretary announced 5 big decisions taken at the CCS meeting.
The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect. The integrated checkpost Atari will be closed with immediate effect. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SARC visa exemption scheme visas. The defense, military, naval and air advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. The overall strength of the High Commissions will be brought down to 30 from the present 55 through further reductions to be effected by 1st May 2025.
Foreign Secretary cited the extradition from US to India of Canadian national with Pakistani roots Tahavur Rana as an indication of India's resolve.
As with the recent extradition of Tahavur Rana, India will be unrelenting in the pursuit of those who have committed acts of terror or conspired to make them possible.
Vikram Misri briefed the ambassadors of various missions in India on the current developments related to the terror attack. India lodged a strong diplomatic response to the Pahalgam terror attack. Other ministries in the government of India started chipping in with their retaliation to the attack. INB ministry sources say the movie Abir Gulal, starring Pakistani actor Fawad Khan, will not be allowed to release in India. The government of India called an all-party meeting on Thursday in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack as the nation stood united against cross-border terrorism from Pakistan. So, India has begun imposing costs on Islamabad after the Pahalgam terror attack. Bureau Report, DD India.
Joining us now for perspective on the heinous terror attack in Pahalgam and India's response are Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, who has served as India's Consul General in Pakistan, and Lieutenant General S.A. Hasnain, strategic and security expert. He is a retired general of the Indian Army. Such a pleasure to have you two gentlemen on our special broadcast. Ambassador Dayal, beginning with you. India responded within a day of the attack with a forceful diplomatic offensive, which it has further escalated. Do the Big Five decisions make for the start of a befitting response from India's side?
Well, it is just the start, as you put it, because this is like the first installment of what India plans to do. Some of these steps will hurt Pakistan immediately, like the decision to put in abeyance the Indus Waters Treaty. But of course, as the Prime Minister has said, that the backers of these terrorists will be punished. And those backers are in the Pakistan army, which beyond doubt is the biggest terrorist force in the world. We talk about the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, but the big power which stands behind them, abetting their terrorist activities and is itself a terrorist force, is the Pakistan army. So I think we have to see how we should cut the wings of the Pakistan army. And in this regard, that sentence comes to my mind, my enemy's enemy is my friend. The Pakistan army is facing a lot of hostility in certain parts of the country, such as in Balochistan. It is facing a militant uprising by the Baloch Liberation Front. In the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, it is facing intense fighting by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. So going by this old norm that my enemy's enemy is my friend, we should strengthen these forces. We should give them funds. We should give them weaponry. We should assist them in every manner possible, because they are also fighting the Pakistan army. And I think that with their help, we can put the Pakistan army in its right place, and at the same time, perhaps also dismember Pakistan. Pakistan has been repeatedly saying that it wants to bleed India by 1,000 cuts. And so, if that is their policy, we should be equally forthright and say we want to cut up Pakistan into 1,000 pieces.
Ambassador, you are saying my enemy's enemy is my friend. General Hasnain, taking that point forward, in your write-up, Pahalgam in Pakistan, you make a very engaging point. You say that there have been many attacks on civilians through the last 36 years of the sponsored proxy conflict in J&K, but Pahalgam attack is more venomous than usual because even in 2611, Kasab and other terrorists did not attempt to determine the fate of their victims. What should one make of this blatant religious profiling by terrorists?
See, it's obvious that the attempt by the terrorists, the resistance front in this case, was to send home a message. They wanted to send home a message to try and divide India, create tensions within people inside India. They are aware that we are a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. And in such societies, there will always be a little give and take here. They wish to exploit and try and create a dissension within India. This is their intention behind it, and this was clear as crystal absolutely in this particular incident where they asked and profiled people before they actually shot them. And this needs to be condemned in no uncertain terms by the international community completely. This is exactly what we are seeking to do at this moment through the diplomatic means. We have seen that the Prime Minister, for a change, actually used the English language to today address a population. The purpose behind it was that the Prime Minister was addressing the international community and telling them that in India, such profiling by terrorists has taken place, such a heinous act has taken place, and that India will go to the last to ensure that it will hunt these people down.
Absolutely. We will go to the very last is what the Prime Minister said. Well, Ambassador Dayal, analysts are connecting the dots from Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir's remarks that Kashmir is Pakistan's jugular vein to Rawalkot-based Lashkar commander Abu Musa's open threat just days ago, and we played that out, that jihad will continue, guns will rage and beheading will continue in Kashmir. Is it now quite clear that all this was anti-India rhetoric spewed to regroup terrorists and further push cross-border terrorism against India? And does India have the world on its side against this strategy?
You know, even if the world is on our side, we have to address this problem ourselves. We have to tackle this menace on our own, really speaking. Now, it is true that the Pakistani rhetoric was targeted at dividing India. That has failed. India has not been divided. In Kashmir, you saw so many Muslims speaking out against the terrorist attack and holding candlelight marches in sympathy with those who had died. Now, at the same time, there are sleeper cells. Who these sleeper cells are needs to be found out. It is the job of our intelligence agencies to unearth the sleeper cells, to identify the fifth columnists and bring them to justice. Because an attack like this, which took place in Pahalgam, certainly received some assistance locally. And therefore, it is very important that to put an end to terrorist attacks from across the border, we must also cut off the links that they have with forces on our side. These sleeper cells need to be identified and decimated. But as I said earlier, it's not going to be done so quickly. There's a short-term objective and there are the long-term objectives. The government of India is identifying the measures it can take to compete with all the challenges and meet the requirements in the short term and in the long term.
Right. General Hasnain, do you see also striking similarities between the Pahalgam terror attack and the Hamas attack on Israel of October 7? And beyond what India has already done, what more options could India exercise, to your mind?
Good questions, absolutely. And I may admit that over the last 1.5 years, ever since October the 7th, I've been writing extensively, analyzing this and feeling it in my mind that there is a thing in Pakistan called copycat terrorism. And it's happened several times within Pakistan where one group has done something and another group has copied exactly that act and done that at some other place. I was expecting that this kind of a thing could possibly happen in a transnational manner across the international border or the line of control, etc. But I'm afraid I could not assess that this could happen deep inside in a place like Pahalgam, the launch pad, the administrative base of the Sri Amarnath Yatra, a place where thousands of tourists come to enjoy themselves. Well, I'm sorry I failed in my assessment, but I completely agree that there is a similarity, and the intent here was to create a relevance for Pakistan that, see, despite your normalcy, despite your claims of normalcy, your hugely successful tourist season, we are capable of entering that deep inside up to Pahalgam and striking.
General Hasnain, just one option that you think is on the table that India could exercise, or anything imaginative that you can think of?
See, at the moment there's a range of options, and I think the Indus Waters Treaty, actually the acting out of the Indus Waters Treaty, which is just about beginning. It's not a short-term measure, it's a long-term measure. We all know that Pakistan is a water-deficient country and that it's going to be severely affected. We know what the state of the economy of Pakistan is. Everyone is expecting kinetic actions, which will happen. Don't have to expect this overnight. It will happen in due course. It's good to keep Pakistan on tenterhooks, keep the leadership on tenterhooks. When it will happen, it will happen.
Absolutely. So both of you agree that this is just the first step in what could be a long haul as far as India's response is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us, General Hasnain and Ambassador Dayal. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
So India has vowed to identify, track and punish not only perpetrators but also backers of the Pahalgam terror attack, and experts feel India's response has only just begun. So that's it in this special broadcast, Pahalgam terror attack, World Unites, India Response. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.